Shall I start the session? So today's paper, IBPS Junior Assistant. What is the paper number 40? It starts with a passage. Any passage related to economy is important. This is related to what? How the economy around the world has changed. Systematic approach, usually if you look at the history of the mankind, initially it started with, please write the word barter. Do you know the meaning of this word? All of you please write the word barter. B-A-R-T-E-R. Barter means exchange of goods. Exchange of goods. Oh, you expect me to write the meaning also? Exchange of goods. Initially there was no currency. Only exchange of goods. You give me something, I give you something. You give me rice, I give you wheat. You know that is known as what? Barter system. You can add the word system as well. Barter system. Later, around the world I am talking generally speaking, that will help coming to the passage. Next we had currency. But initial currency was what? Please write cowrie shells. You all know the word shells. We have so many types of shells. One type, C-O-W-R-Y, cowrie shells. All Indians know these shells because if you go to villages, in the past, now I don't know, boys and girls, usually girls, they would play something with the shells. Do you remember? Those shells are called cowrie shells. That was the currency, highly valuable. Later that changed and we got the coins. After coins, today what do we have? In our country we have paper. You go to some countries, they have plastic currency. You all know that. If you go to Singapore, they don't use paper currency, they use plastic currency. This is the evolution. And coming to the world, around the world, initially it was agriculture. After that, what happened? Agriculture. We had the Industrial Revolution. And because of that, manufacturing became very important. Manufacturing sector. Many Western countries could lead the world because of the manufacturing sector. They had the technology and the know-how. And today India is one of the leading economies not because of manufacturing sector. What is the sector we have today? I hope you guys are writing. There is a reason for telling all this. Agriculture, manufacturing sector, service sector. Coming to service sector again, what is the latest one? Please write IT sector. This is the most important, deciding the fate of a particular country, economy point of view. This passage deals with more or less the same aspect. When it comes to agriculture, what is important? Two things are very important. One is the labor and the other one is land, obviously. Land and labor. Investment is not a major issue. Capital is not a major issue because land basically inherited from one generation to another generation. So it is not that important, but two things very important. One, labor intensive. Obviously without land you can't think of agriculture, as simple as that. Coming to manufacture, machinery very important and technology very important. Coming to service sector, your brain is the most important thing, especially when it comes to IT sector, and these are known as knowledge-based economies. Today we are dealing with knowledge-based economies, and the most important product is what? Information. Information, complete word, that's a separate word. Info, also a complete word. Don't think it is a short form of information. You can say info or information. Today the most important product is what? Information. The world is ruled because of information. Every day we are bombarded with so much information. And when it comes to information, the most important information, obviously, information technology, combination of information with technology. Today the economies depend on IT. Now it starts with agriculture, comes to the modern economies and how things have changed. This is the broad framework of the passage. Before I go to the questions, how many of you read the passage? Raise your hands. Honest. About 6 students and 6 boys and 6 girls. Please don't come without reading the passage to my sessions. I'm going to talk to the director. I'm going to come up with a rule. The coordinator will ask you. We can make out whether correct answer, wrong answer. Have you read the passage? You say, no, you're not allowed. Do you understand what I say? All of you. You may say, sir, while taking the mock test, we don't get enough time. That means you are not ready for the exam. You cannot compete with others. According to one survey, because today is the first session, I would like to provide the insight why reading the passage is very important. According to one survey conducted way back in 2014, what is the year, present year, 2023. Way back in 14, that time the passages were stories. Stories go with children, school kids. But according to that survey, 80% of the candidates in the actual exam, they wouldn't read the passage. Because of that, the cutoff was usually 4 marks, 5 marks, 6 marks. When I started teaching English for competitive exams, when people told me, sir, this is actual paper, I laughed actually. Are you joking? How can this be the actual paper? Substandard paper. No, sir, this is a paper. Then I had to cross-check, I had to believe. Second thing that shocked me, the cutoff was 5 marks. I did not believe. Out of 30, 5 marks after getting training, unbelievable. Something is wrong. Either with the student or with the trainee. As simple as that. Either this side or that side. But I had to believe that's a fact. And what is the reason I wanted to find out? One of the reasons, how many marks per passage in the exam? Usually 10 marks. You don't read the passage. How many marks are you attempting? Please answer. 20. Out of 20, you get 5, 6, perhaps fair enough. Acceptable. But today things have changed. And this is useful when if you don't read the passage. You can skip the passage when it comes to prelims. How many stages do we have? 2 stages. What is the deciding one, prelims or mains? Main. And prelims marks considered or not considered? Not considered. No use at all. Only to write the mains is the gateway. And coming to mains, your grammar knowledge is of no use. All depends on your reading comprehension skill. You all agree? And you won't believe in 2019 SBI mains junior assistant or PO, I'm not quite sure. They gave 5 passages. Not even one question based on grammar. And you'll be shocked to know one passage for 1 mark. They gave a passage and only one question, only 1 mark. Now you understand what is important, reading the passage or not. You want to be in that 80% or in the 20%. 80% or 20%? 80%. I hope you all understand English. Do you guys understand my English? I doubt now. 80% don't read the passage. Their cutoff is 5. 20% read the passage in the actual exam. They get 20 plus out of 30. You want to be in the 80% or 20%? Obviously, common sense. And this 20%, they are good at reading comprehension skill and vocabulary. Then comes the question, how can we become good at reading comprehension skill and vocabulary? Only one thing is required, that is you have to read every day. Nothing more, nothing less. Read what? Read the newspaper. If you don't read the newspaper, then you don't feel like reading the passage. You don't read the passage, you cannot clear your mains. You don't develop the skill. So please read the passage and come. Initially, I will tell you something interesting, then you understand. Shall I? When I came to this institute way back in 2017, I still remember I started taking the explanations in the month of Jan. 3 months I did, Jan, Feb, March. Today being the first day, new students, I'm doing all this, do remember. And we'll go to the paper, don't worry about that. And 3 months I was doing every day sincerely, religiously, a lot of value addition, a lot of information based on my expertise and experience, but the scores wouldn't improve. And this is very disappointing today the number. We would have 500 to 600 students in this room. No exaggeration. They would make a beeline. They would form queues and wait. Boys queue, girls queue. And it would take 10 to 15 minutes for the students to enter the room. Literally jam-packed the room. 500 to 700 usual number. And 3 months no improvement. I would ask what is the score? How many of you have got 10 plus out of 30? Hardly 20 students out of 500. I was confused. I was doing so much. How come no improvement? Luckily, one day I asked the question, do you guys read the passage? Unanimous, no sir. Then I got the reason. I decided, oh, this is a problem. They don't read the passage. How many marks are they attempting? 20. 20 they get 5, 7, fair enough. Then I changed the approach. I started giving the tips. I started telling how to read the passage. And some of the students, they started reading while taking the mock test and they started attempting the question. When you follow my tips, usually you get minimum 5 out of 10, average 7. Imagine till the time one student would get 7 marks. After he started reading the passage, he got 5 from the passage. The score became 12. Very happy. For the first time they crossed a single digit. It was so exciting for them. Many students of our institute, they never imagined. Eventually they got 20 plus. You won't believe at one point students thought, are these our marks? They wondered, are these our marks? They got so many marks in English. At one stage they got more in English than in quant and reasoning. I still have the messages sent by the students. What made all the difference? Tell me. If you guys are listening, what made all the difference? Reading the passage, and to read the passage I told them the same time you have to read the Hindu paper, and I would conduct sessions. Today we are going to start at 9 to 9:45. How to read the Hindu, how to learn from the Hindu paper. These two things made all the difference. And some of the students from 3 marks to 30 marks in the actual exam mains got IBPS PO, IBPS Clerk, and in a span of 9 months. Mind you guys, how many months? Only 9 months. I always tell students, if you follow my tips, 1 year maximum, you'll get 3-4 jobs, not one job. But you have to follow what I tell you guys. If you don't do that, it's a struggle for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Why do you want to spend so much time on bank exams and SSC? Not required. 1 year maximum. If you're not lucky enough, the second year. That's it. You get 3-4 jobs. It has already happened. Now with that introduction, we'll go to the passage. If you don't read the passage and if you come here without reading the passage, what will happen? You cannot understand what I say. Then I see your question mark faces. Obviously I get disturbed. You understand what I say? She has read the passage. She wants to listen to the master's analysis. And she wants to cross-check how many she got right, how many she got wrong, what went wrong. She'll work on that and she'll try to improve her score. She did not read the passage. She'll blank face, get lost in the thoughts. I have to pull you people back. Come here, come here. So do read and come. While taking the mock test, you cannot. Some students cannot initially. After the session, you read. That will help you. When did you take the mock test? This morning or yesterday? So you got plenty of time. Read the passage and come. That's a request and an order both. Shall I go to I have already given the brief about the passage. We'll see the first question. What is the first question here? Which of the following has been rated as most crucial in agro-based economy? You have to, whenever you read a question, every question in English has keywords. To answer the question, first you have to focus on the keywords. What are the keywords here? Agro-based economy. I have already said agro-based, 2 things are very important. What are those 2? One is land, prerequisite. Second, labor. So here land is right, labor is right. Capital not required. It is inherited. So what is the answer based on that? Only 1 and 2. For this you don't have to read the passage. Some questions you can answer without reading the passage, sheer common sense. This question, do you have to read the passage? Not required. Do remember, that is one advantage. All the questions you don't have to read the passage, but you have to read at any cost. Imagine sometimes other questions very tough. Then you don't get enough time to read the passage. Go through the questions. At least a few you will be able to answer. Shall I go to the next one? Question number 2. What is this about? How did service economy or service sector, now service economy, evolve into a global economy? So what has brought that change? Initial economy is local. Today international. We have, if you look at Indian IT companies, where do they work? Many of those companies, where do they have the branches? In the US, in Europe. So global economy. What is the first option here? The wealth gained through service exceeded the gain through manufacture. Those who have read the passage will consider this option. The wealth gained through service exceeded the gain through manufacture. Because the whatever gains they got through manufacture, let's say that was 100. The gains they got from the service sector, service economy, 200, almost double. And which one is better? Obviously service sector. That has resulted in what? Service economy becoming global economy. How many of you have chosen the first option? Raise your hands. That is the answer. Take that one. And sometimes what happens, you got to be smart and clever. You read this question, you know for sure it is already mentioned. Today you haven't read, then it doesn't serve any purpose. But tomorrow I'm going to come 7:30 every day. If you like, you come. You don't like, stay back. As simple as that. Choice is crystal clear. I'm telling beforehand. I'll be coming every morning 7:30. Those are happy with English to English teaching, my style of teaching, most welcome. We'll provide the red carpet welcome. And others, very happy, stay back, enjoy. As simple as that. But once you come here, be with the master. Don't get lost in your thought. I hope it's clear. So, being smart is what? You have read the passage. Some questions are based on explicit information. Explicit means already mentioned in the passage. And you take the key words and you go to the passage and navigate, locate. You see the same sentence more or less in the passage mentioned. And you're damn sure about the first option. Don't waste your time going to the other option. Go to the next question. You understand what I say? That way you can save a few seconds. Every second matters in the exam. Shall we go to the next one? Question number 3. Which of the following best describes the phrase critical mass as used in the passage? I think one particular paragraph, I don't know which paragraph, but here I underline, with more effective capital markets for high potential IT stocks, critical mass. Have you seen that paragraph? It is the third paragraph from below. Critical mass, which in the industrial economy was primary in ensuring companies' ability to raise capital, will cease to matter. So what is the first option here? The sum total capital of industrial economy, not right. The ability of an organization to raise funds. Do you see the same wording over here? More or less. That is also based on explicit information. That means what is the answer? Second option is the answer. You don't have to look at the other option. Don't waste your time. But you got to be very sure. Explicit information you can be damn sure because it is mentioned in the passage. You don't have to have any doubt, no second thoughts regarding that. But any question based on implicit information, you got to be careful. Question number 4. The public offer of which type of companies are preferred by the investors at present? What is the first option here? Companies dealing with financial sector. Yes or no? Information based companies, hold this one. Agro based, olden days. So, companies dealing with financial sector, very specific. It can't be that. And service sector companies. Again in service sector, what is the most important sector? Service sector, so many are there. Information based companies. Have you chosen the second option? Answer is the second option. An easy one. But this you have to read the passage. I would like to tell one more thing. In fact, a lot of educators don't spend time on the passage. They skip the passage when it comes to explanation. They finish off in 30 minutes or 40 minutes. I run out of time. 60 minutes, I still feel time is not enough. What is the reason? I take utmost care to make sure students develop a reading comprehension skill. I spend a lot of time on the passage. Today also I started with introduction. I spent almost 5 to 10 minutes on the passage. What is the reason? Here finally remember the bottom line, what matters, your selection matters. Who taught you, where you went, how much time you spent, no one cares. When you go to your native place, the question is, have you got the job? You got, yes, you are considered intelligent and successful. No, master not good, institute not good, these problems, that problem, these problems. They may say, oh really, so sorry to hear that. On your face. At the back, all cock and bull stories. This is what they say. They will ridicule. No one wants the reason for the failure. People want the reason for success. You understand what I say? So do remember that. Now let us go to question number 5. What impact on economy has been envisaged, underline the word envisaged, owing to rise in net enterprise related to information? Virtual economy has necessitated the source of funds from abroad. Not abroad is very specific. The funding of unplanned projects have increased. Any project has to be planned. Underline the word unplanned. The economic planning will no more be realistic now. The venture capitalists have started financing the project even at the planning stage. Today, if you have general awareness about the present economies, the present scenario, one word stands out. You come across stories where a youngster started a company. Within 1 year, the value of the company 200 crore, 300 crore. Unimaginable. How the hell does it happen? Because of venture capitalists. Who are these venture capitalists? They have a lot of money and they don't have time to do. They have their own projects and their own priorities. They spot someone who is talented and that talented person does not have the money. This fellow will finance the project, and overnight the project goes to a different dimension altogether. No money, it is always at the same level. Imagine you have a brilliant idea, someone gives you 200 crores. What will happen? You can take, sky is the limit. And the most important expression here, venture capitalists. Planning, they see, oh, this is a brilliant idea, fund the project. So what is the answer based on that? Fourth option is the answer. Sheer common sense. For this you don't have to read the passage. General reading habit, you can answer this question as well. Question number 6. Which trend can boost capital growth in the modern era? Promoting information-based and software companies, hold that one. Generating resources to international trade, that is foreign exchange, foreign trade, no. Converting manufacturing industry into service sector, that is not practically possible. We cannot do that. Conversion of land and labor for private equity, no. Answer is the first one. What is the passage about? It is all about information-based companies, promoting information-based and software companies, and that will boost what? Capital growth, obvious. Have you chosen the first option? How many questions based on comprehension skill from this passage? 6 questions. Those who have read the passage while taking the mock test, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many have you got correct out of 6? 5, wonderful, highly appreciable. 3, also be very happy at this stage. 3 or 3 plus, be very happy. One reason you have read the passage while taking the mock test. You are in the 20%, not in the 80%. That should make you happy. Second, you got 50%. Out of 6, 3, 50%. Fair enough at this stage. You do the same thing, eventually you will get effortlessly 7 out of 10. Accordingly, you can change the proportion. Shall we go to the last question based on vocabulary? Only one question, though they have given a few words in bold, only one question. Choose the word which is most nearly the opposite in meaning to the word printed in colored used in the passage. But joining means what based on the context? Growing. Have you understood the meaning of the word based on the context? But joining means growing rapidly, proliferating, mushroom growth. Some expressions you have to recollect. One, write the word proliferate, multiply rapidly. For that there is one idiomatic expression. You all know mushrooms. Mushroom growth. Have you guys had your breakfast? Or without breakfast you came here? Without breakfast. So you are excused. Sometimes you respond, sometimes you don't respond. No problem. So proliferate, one important word. What is the idiomatic expression? Mushroom growth. And we also use one more, but not that important at this stage. We'll go to the question. What do they want, synonym or antonym? What is the first option here? Common, unique, dipping, retarding, growing. Growing is the same meaning, and common does not talk about growing or not growing, not related. Unique, not related to the concept of multiplying. And dipping, coming down. Perhaps you can consider. But growing, What is the key word here? Grow. Growth, what is opposite? Retard. Retard means no growth. Retarding. Retard. So based on that, what is the answer? Growing opposite retarding. Retarding means what? No growth. There is one expression you have to recollect. Don't write that. Have you heard of mentally retarded people? Mentally retarded. Physically they grow, but mentally they are like kids. So that expression you have to recollect. Shall I go to the next one? So columns. Columns are based on three things. One is your grammar knowledge. Only to some extent it helps. Second, contextual awareness. Third, vocabulary. But the most important of the three factors, contextual awareness. Whether it makes sense or not when you try to club. What is the first one? India is a vast country and the need to travel faster has become a necessity. First one, we'll take first one in the second column. A big country takes more time to travel or less time to travel? More time, obviously. So it has become a necessity. When it takes more time, what will you do? You try to save the time. You try to cut down the time. Imagine I have a 1 day time. I prefer train. I have only 3 hours time. What will I do? I prefer a flight. So it is based on the time factor. India is a vast country and the need to travel faster has become a necessity. Yes or no? These two form one pair. Grammatically, contextually. A and B one pair. While air transport can cater to such needs, obviously saves a lot of time. The capacity that it offers simply cannot match that of the railways. The capacity, key word. Air travel has its own advantages, but when it comes to a flight and a train, if you look at the number of passengers, which one can carry more number of passengers, flight or train? So it doesn't have the capacity that it offers, simply cannot match that of the railways. You can match second and also the clue for you, while expresses contrasting information. While air transport can cater to such needs, time factor, the capacity that it offers simply cannot match that of the railway. And B and E also one pair. Apart from diverting passengers from the road and air, bullet train generates a new class of passengers as well. Now we talk about bullet trains. In our country also they have this. They have been contemplating. This also makes a pair. There are two words for you to consider. Underline the words road and air. We have three modes of transport, public transport. One is air, the other is road, and the other one is what? Train, tracks. So road and air they have considered, and train they did not touch because bullet train also uses the same mode of transport. It generates a new class of passengers as well. You can consider C and F. What is the answer based on that? Which option says all the three? Second option is the answer. All these are easy, but what matters here, again a lot of people think columns are difficult. One reason, obvious reason, time taking. But if you are good at reading comprehension skill, you are good at reading, you read every day. One reading you can match whether you can decide right or wrong. It doesn't take a lot of time. Shall we go to the next one? Chatbots, automation and smart devices together with, underline the word device, here it is a noun. SE is a verb that you have to recollect. Together with neural networks, previously impossible, does not make no connection between these two. Massive data, together with massive data, can improve several technologies at home and the workplace. Seems right or wrong? These two form a pair. Artificial intelligence achieves remarkable precision through deep neural networks. Previously impossible. Artificial intelligence, I'm sure you all have an idea. But does it depend on neural networks? Neural means what? Nervous system. No, it does not depend on neural system. As of now, in future it may. We never know. So because of put a underline neural networks. Based on neural networks, we cannot consider B and D. You cannot consider. And through deep of accuracy, grammatically not correct. What is the third one? AI reduces errors, increasing the chances of accuracy. and level of precision. This seems perfect. So what is the answer based on that? A, E and C, F. Which option is that? Easy. One reading, no need of second reading. But some words are very important. If you skip those words, you don't focus on those words, then you may not get the right option. Here the clue, neural networks. That is a clue. The Supreme Court unanimously ruled that racial, unconstitutional, not correct, segregation in schools was unconstitutional. How many of you have chosen this pair? Raise your hands. Okay. It cannot be a pair. What is the reason? The clue for you, underline Supreme Court. I hope you are doing what I'm saying. Otherwise what happens, the next time you won't be able to catch what is important, what is not important. Supreme Court belongs to which country? Usually India, obviously. The Supreme Court unanimously ruled that racial segregation in schools was unconstitutional. There is a possibility for this because the US also has Supreme Court. Yes or no? We also have Supreme Court. So hold this one. Let us go to the next one because we don't know which Supreme Court they are talking about. The government called the plan dangerous, unconstitutional and liable to spin out of control. This seems right or wrong? This forms a pair. The opposition parties will always exploit government problems to their own advantage. That is the job of the opposition party. Obviously, generally speaking. Here you can consider CF, no second thoughts. And you can consider B, what is that pair? BE. BE or, BD, one pair. Now we have to decide whether A, E, right or wrong. Do we have that option A, E anywhere? No. That means what is the answer? CF, BD. Which option says that? Answer is the second option. Here elimination approach works out. Blindly you cannot decide. You have to spend some time on this question. Question number 11. Economic growth itself can increase the demand. Whenever there is growth, economic growth, demand obviously comes into picture. Demand for child labor. Imagine there are many companies, business potential is there, they are not getting the manpower, a regular age group. What do? They try to depend on the child labor. That is the alternative. Economic growth itself can increase the demand for child labor as well as reducing the supply. When they depend on the child labor, new source, then the supply also obviously comes down. Hold this. Does it make sense or no? It forms a pair. Hold the first one, AD. Smoke damage in the lungs can lead to serious long-term lung. What is the next word you can think of? Lung diseases such as they have listed out. Beyond any doubt, B, F1 pair. Smoking can also increase the risk of lung infections such as. What is the continuity clue for you? Such as. Previous one, lung diseases. Continuity is always important. You can consider which one is this, B and C and such as. Where do we have? E. Which option says this combination? A, D, B, F. Is it the second option? Now we'll go to easy question, but prelims level. What is this model or pattern? You have I don't know how many questions, but the words in bold either wrongly spelled or inappropriate. The very first word, how do you pronounce this? Lieutenant. F sound is a lieutenant. But in the spelling you don't have the letter. What is the correct spelling of this? Remember the word tenant. Tenant means the one who pays the rent. But here L-I-E, not F. What is the letter? U. This is the correct spelling. L-I-E-U. T-E-N-A-N-T. Lieutenant. But how do you pronounce? Do you have the letter F? For Indians, this is something, a puzzle. How come? Because we use logic. I always tell English does not depend on logic. Don't use your logic. Shall I go to the next one? Question number 13. The purpose. Any problem with the word purpose? No. But you have to check the context as well. Don't go only with the spelling. The purpose of the letter is not to give information as to the past, but to stimulate its readers. A writer always tries to stimulate the readers, nothing wrong, to perseverance. What is the spelling of the word perseverance? V-E or V-A? Is this right or wrong? Perseverance. The given word is not correct. Severe, severance, perseverance. Next one, the chief command was at the same time separated. Underline the word separated. Common error, a lot of people write the word separate, T-E, that is not correct. What is the correct spelling? Separate, T-A. So nothing wrong here. Don't think A is not correct. A is perfect, no problem as such. The chief command was at the same time separated from the administration, and vested means to give the power or authority, one meaning, in a naval officer who controls the movements of the fleet. It's personnel. What is the spelling? P-E-R-S-O-N-N-E-L. Personnel means employees of an organization. There is an error in the fourth part. Personnel. Have you personnel manager? If you go to a company, they use one particular designation. A Bagua map is a fundamental. Anything wrong with fundamental tool or feng shui used in determining any problem? No. The auspicious or positive energy areas and unauspicious or inauspicious. The right word here, inauspicious, not unauspicious. Fortunate, unfortunate. Auspicious, inauspicious. What is the, so this is not the right correct spelling.